Welcome into the Super Stash Bro Show. I am your host, Colby Marshall. There is no Shaggy Bets here today, but we have the Super Beard Bro. Hello, sir. Hold on, let me do it for you. Hello. Welcome in, guys. This is presented by Bet Online and, of course, Betting News. SVJ, happy hump day, my guy. Why are you here? No offense.
Happy hump day, dude. It's first of all, it's so weird to do the show with you guys now because I don't ever watch that intro. And so I was like, oh wow, I've never seen this side of this particular show.
It gets catchy. It's like something that gets better after. I always tell people if you lay on the horn long enough in the car that it does get funny. And trust me,
sounds nice.
It does get funny.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad to be here. I mean,
it's funny.
What are you just like? Do you have a random horn in your bedroom that you're pressing for random reasons?
When I did, I'll tell you a quick story. When I had a foreign exchange student my senior year of high school, I gave him I gave him the best American experience I could just by being a psychopath. So I would always tell people in my car, I had a purple Pontiac Grand AM that had one working window. It was the back passenger.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, watch this. And I would lay on the horn, and he'd be like, what are you doing? And I have all the windows down. I'm like, trust me, it gets funnier. I promise you, it gets funnier. And then we're at a red light, still horns going on. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And it got progressive. He was peeing his pants by the end of it. And also, I was able to pull out the key while the car was in drive, and I would be like, here, can you hold this? And people would always freak out. That was the best car ever as your first car.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He was from Spain, Sook. He was from Spain.
Ah, okay. What was his name?
Mark with a C.
Mark.
From Barcelona. Barcelona. Now we have a ginormous show today. We got a very close friend of mine. We got the collab going today. You got Stadium Bets, which is always there when I'm on. But today you got Stadium Bets and Betting News, and then Bet Online's like the third hand, and we're all just hugging right here. We're all hugging. Hello, Photo G. How are we doing? But before we bring that special guest up, SVJ, how many plays do you have in NBA today? Can you tease them real quick? You're not staying long, but I know you got something.
I'm not staying super long today. It's also really nice to have you do all the housekeeping. So I can just be like the guy just chilling here and not have to do all that.
I'm like, what would he say right about now? I'm like, no, I got everything.
You got it. It's all, yeah, man. It's nice to have different levels of housekeeping. I have one NBA play. I actually have two, but I'll run through them pretty quickly before I leave. I know I only wrote one down. I have two that I'll kind of give before you guys dive in and talk about the Masters. I'm excited to hear a special guest talk about, give you guys an in-depth analysis of betting the Masters. It should be a fun tournament. I've already seen so much. I know, dude. It's going to be great. Very excited to listen to him with you guys. But I couldn't leave you by yourself here. Shaggy is on a plane right now. I wonder if he paid for the Wi-Fi to watch us. Probably not.
I've always been against paying for the Wi-Fi, but lately I'm like, you know what? It's $7. You know,
especially if there's like did you see real quick before we dive in? Did you see there was a picture that Scott Hansen posted that he was on a flight and all the screens on the flight was the women's national championship game. You saw that? Yeah. Did you also see today the news that was it the Fever that are going to draft Caitlin Clark #1 in the WNBA?
Well, yeah. I mean, they'd be insane if they didn't.
Right. But did you see that they already have 38 national televised games next year? And their ticket prices for 4 of their games
they
quadrupled.
Need to be playing where the Pacers play, and I think any arena that she's playing in this year should be that affiliates. Well, they're not always affiliate, but the NBA arena. Like when they come here, do not have it at Wintrust in Chicago. Have it at the United Center and anywhere else. Get the bigger arena because people are going to want to go, and it's not fair to the fans that you're going to put the prices up to $400 because you can't fit everybody. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
be a good league and do something about that.
I thought it was
because the fan experience already sucks going to games. Yeah. It sucks.
I'd be very interested to see this season how they have to increase it because they're going to be people are literally going to be paying quadruple the money. These tickets were $25 last year, and they're going to be over $130 for some of these tickets this year, which is insane.
Well, I know somebody that could get us some money that will make us the tickets will be basically free, and that's Nate Jacobson from Stadium Bets. Oh my God, here he comes!
Y'all gon' make me act a fool. Hey, yo, what's my name? What you got? Y'all gon' make me lose my cool. I tried so hard. What you really want? What you really want? But it doesn't even matter. Come on.
Nate!
What an intro.
Nate Dogg, you're here. You handsome devil. How you doing?
What an intro. What an intro. I'm honored to be here, and I'm super fired up to talk about the Masters and what we're going to see at Augusta National over the next 4 days.
Nate, can you just try your best and tell these people the right thing so they can go see Caitlin Clark and not spend half their rent? Please, sir. Please. There's no guarantees. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, no, I agreed with that take. They should be playing those games in bigger arenas. Just make an exception so more people could see her.
Is it that hard?
Apparently so. I had a guy comment.
Very nice. Don't sell yourself short, Colby. It's a great a great gem for your university that you graduated from twice.
Yeah, I mean,
there's the reference. There they are. They're the degrees. They get brought out occasionally. Where are they? There they are. There they are.
Wintrust is beautiful. I've been there for when they were the arena was sold out when the Sky were going to win the WNBA Finals. It is an electric atmosphere when it's sold out. But being at DePaul, I never got to experience it because they suck. So I could have cried the day I saw it sold out, but. You shouldn't have it. It would be like a DePaul game if Caitlin Clark came to town because they'd be there for just Caitlin Clark. Just bring it to the United Center. You
can get a good Italian meal afterwards across the street.
Oh, don't get this guy fucking going on that. You can talk about that for hours. Get the white suit out. Get Patino in the house, baby.
Oh, the dream.
Nate was the one I went with to go see Patino.
Oh, nice, perfect.
Yeah,
that's
we
awesome.
Had that planned forever.
But I posted the tweet today of the numbers of how the tickets increased for this, and the last part of my tweet said Diana Taurasi's in shambles, because of her fucking take about this. Which what a bozo. But now it's even further fuel to the fire of like, oh, and I bet you she read that tweet and was literally gritting her fucking teeth, man. Had to be.
I mean, I get she's a dog, but I just found it so, like, come on.
It was. Hey, man, jealousy is a bad color on anybody.
Green.
Bad
hey,
color.
I mean, green's my favorite color, but and green's
I know.
scattered all over this. Green's the color of money, which we love making. So before
green jacket.
Nate, you dirty dog!
But I'm wearing green today.
Hey, I got. This is actually kind of green too. We all got the memo without even talking about it.
We could have wore all black. The show's still green.
Hey, baby. Did you see the image of all the green guys? The image from the Masters I guess it's like the Masters winners dinner. I don't know what the official name is. Where they're all sitting there, Does that give you like goosebumps as a big golf guy, seeing that that image and like getting your blood pumping for the tournament?
Yeah, it's always good to see the former winners having as it's the champions dinner. The defending champion of the Masters picks the menu. So it was John Rahm, and he had a full on Spanish tapas, Spanish food menu. But it's always fun just to kind of look at the picture. And Phil Mickelson always looks confused or something. It looks like he's on something.
He was sweating a bet. He was sweating a bet.
100%
sweating a bet.
He was sweating Ohtani's home run because they had texted about it previously. So
Jack Nicklaus looked like he had a few too many beers. Nick Faldo looked like he was excited to be eating a Spanish dinner. It's definitely a good picture, although a little bit awkward because of the dynamic of the PGA Tour players and the LIV players, which is something we'll get into because this is the first time we're going to see players from both leagues play at the same time since the Open Championship, which was last July, since LIV players aren't allowed to play on the PGA Tour, so they can only play at the majors, and this is the first major of 2024.
Wow.
I saw somebody tweet out yesterday that photo, everyone looked photoshopped if you zoomed in and looked long enough. I thought that was hilarious. But Nate, what would you have at your dinner if you won the Masters?
That's a good question.
Would you have D'Amata's cater?
Probably not. I don't know, steak, shrimp, maybe a nice soup and salad.
Respectful.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. But that's a good question. I'll think about that more.
SPJ, what do you got?
I think I'd go surf and turf. So I'm kind of in the same boat.
Photo G, McDonald's. You know, I would
Absolutely.
I would pick typical champions meal. I would have Kane because everyone that wins any championship automatically is gets Kane sponsorship. DJ Burns, he's always the champion of everyone's heart, America's heart.
Absolutely.
I feel like every national champion gets it. Who's the quarter? Stetson Bennett was sponsored by Canes after he won it last year. Just screams championship.
This is how it was on the interview, like this. Yeah, we did a good. We won. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, we did a good job. Uh-huh.
We're 13 minutes in. SPJ, give them the NBA bets, please. We're 13
All right.
minutes in.
Yeah, we have a thing about the show, Nate, that we get about 15 to 20 minutes into the show before we talk about any bets. It's become a thing. But yeah, guys, so the NBA, National Basketball Association tonight, getting down to the nitty-gritty of the season, last week of the season. Last games are on Sunday. Some good games tonight, a bunch of different matchups to go with. Ooh, Brazilian Barbecue Woodrock. However, I'm going to take you to one of the shit games that probably nobody wants to watch, but I love this bet. I am going to be taking Trey Mann over 4.5 assists. He is the point guard for the Charlotte Hornets. This is one of those deals where I've been taking Micic, who has been starting for the Hornets over the last 10 days. He's been a wagon on his assist line at over 6.5. Burned me yesterday. And the reason why he burned me yesterday was because they kind of dropped his playing time a little bit and to let Trey Mann run a little bit more of the offense. So I'm going to take Trey Mann. I got over 4.5 or minus 145 earlier today. I am seeing this number move. It's minus 150, minus 155, depending on your book, depending on where you have it. If you want to pay the juice, go ahead and pay it. You can also ladder it up to the next level at 5.5 or even 6+, depending on your book for plus money. Terrence Mann has had an increase in minutes, like I said, over the last 4 games, playing 30 minutes a game, and he loves playing against the Hawks. In his last 7 of 10, he's hit this number, and he's also hitting 3 straight games outright with 5+ assists. And in his last two games against the Hawks this season, he's hit this number both times with 6 and 9 assists. He's also had 9 potential assists in both of those games, which is a stat we love around the NBA parts. He will still split minutes with Micic, which this the last part of this is I took Micic yesterday. I've been taking him like almost every game because he's been the 6.5 has been cashing with these. And it didn't hit yesterday, which means it's probably smacking today because I'm not going to take it. But I watched that last quarter and a half of that game, and they were just giving Trey Mann the opportunity to run the offense. So the Hawks allowed the third most assists to point guards in the league at about 9 per game to the point guard position. It just feels like a great spot. I did ladder this too. 8+ is plus 500. He had 9 the last time they played about 2 weeks ago, and 10+ for a little dust is plus 1200. I mean, if he's going to be out there playing substantial minutes, as long as the Hornets are hitting their shots, Brandon Miller still has rookie incentives to play for. So does Miles Bridges. So I think that this game is going to be a track meet. The Atlanta defense is not very good. Both of these defenses are pretty bad. This game is going to be very zippy. So as long as we're getting some shots going down in this for this team, I love the 5+, and I hope that he can climb all the way up the ladder to maybe to get to 10. So Tre Mann over 4.5 assists. Again, probably quite possibly the worst game on the night in the NBA slate, but I love this line. Took it earlier. The last thing I'll say before I let you guys dive into the golf is I am taking Luka Doncic tonight over 50.5 PRA. That's against the Heat. Even though the Mavericks did lock in their position in the not having to play in the play-in the NBA playoffs, so they're in the playoffs fully. I love Luka tonight. I think Luka's really pushing to be really heavily considered for the MVP, even though I think Jokic is going to win it. Somebody that has an MVP ticket for Luka in my back pocket too. Would love for him to really finish the season with a bang. Could see him getting a triple-double tonight. I did sprinkle that at plus 250. He had a triple-double against the Heat last time they played about 2.5 weeks ago. And I think that this is just one of those spots where Luka's going to want to come out and ball in South Beach. So I love the 50.5 PRA number. I also did sprinkle the triple-double at plus 250. It's kind of like your rule with home runs, Colby. If I get Jokic, Sabonis, or Luka at over plus 200 for a triple-double, I'm probably going to take it. As long as they play enough minutes, the value's there. So those are my plays for today. Tre Mann over 4.5 assists and Luka Doncic over 50.5. Parah. All right.
You heard it, guys. God's only son is Tre Mann's man.
Tre Mann's man. Did you think I was going to pitch you Tre Mann?
Tre Mann's man. No, I didn't. I did not know what you were going to pitch.
Huh.
The Luka was pretty
On
standard.
brand.
Yeah.
Sure.
But Tre Mann, I didn't know that was your man.
Oh man, oh baby. Well, like I said, it was one of those deals where Micic, man, he's been a wagon, and I just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to the other guy tonight. I'm cheating on Micic.
Well, sir, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving us the much needed third sport to be discussed, because we got baseball later. But now it is time to shift gears and give Nate all the attention that he deserves. This is why he's here. Put the jackets on, baby, because we're talking strictly golf. SBJ, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Nate, pleasure to meet you. Enjoy talking about the Masters. Absolutely. Bye, chat.
See ya. All right, Nate. We got some questions in the chat already from our good friend, Mr. Tim Buttera. Spread that Buttera. He wants to know your thoughts on Henley. Before we dive into all of it, we got to get to the questions.
Yeah, and what a start, Russell Henley, a guy who I do bet on a lot, mostly at shorter courses, Southeast courses though, or coastal courses. Like had him last year at the Wyndham Championship, and he almost won. I think I had him this year, maybe the Sony Open in Hawaii, which is smaller course and not necessarily the prototype of what we're going to see at Augusta National this weekend, which is a par 72 that's 7,500 yards. But Henley is from Georgia, usually plays his best golf in the Southeast, playing well right now. So in terms of, I don't think he's going to win the Masters, but in terms of a placement bet, top 10, top 20, maybe find him in a full tournament matchup against a player that you don't really like. That's one way to play it. Yeah, last week he finished 4th at the Valero Texas Open, which was a lot farther away from the winner, which is Akshay Bhatia, who beat Denny McCarthy in a playoff. But yeah, just looking at Henley's reform, 4th at the Valero, 4th at the Arnold Palmer, which is it's a course that's pretty long and difficult. He has been there's Russ. He's been putting well recently, which is a little bit of a surprise for him. Usually it's he gets it done with his irons in the approach play. But if he can find the flat stick at Augusta, maybe he has a shot to at least be in the mix early on. Last year he finished 4th at the Masters. So yeah, maybe he's trending in the right direction of being a late bloomer major winner, which we don't see. We see a little bit. Like we saw Brian Harman last year at the Open, but yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to win it, but Henley definitely a guy to play on in
Or
matchups
sprinkle?
and some safer bets. Maybe like top 5. I just can't see him winning. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. All right, so obviously I'm very novice when it comes to gambling on golf. You know, I do like to dabble from time to time. I'm definitely going to be looking into this more after we do the show because I haven't had time to dive into it because I'm so locked in on baseball. It's a more fun grind for me because I know the sport better.
Yep.
But golf's fun. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably just now thinking, hey, I've never watched the Masters or I've never gambled on the Masters. And I think you're the perfect person to ask these questions for. What is something a below novice person should be looking at if they want to bet on anything, golf-wise?
Sure. So the Masters, it happens every year at Augusta National in Augusta, Georgia, always the second weekend of April. You always know it's when the Final Four goes on and the national title game is on Monday and concludes. You have the Masters in a few days to look forward to. I know that's a big deal, especially on CBS. And yeah, it's a beautiful course. Although I have a friend there who said Augusta, not the nicest town. He's there for the practice rounds on Wednesday. He said the town of Augusta isn't great, but it is definitely the most important course, I'd say, in golf, at least in America, our most recognizable place for golf fans. And yeah, Augusta National, par 72, over 7,500 yards. I think some key parts about this and just in terms of betting golf and when you're watching is pay attention to there's 4 par 5s on the course where a lot of players are going to want to do their scoring, where they're going to hope to get some good birdie opportunities, maybe an eagle from here and there, depending on which hole it is. But when you're watching like hole 2 right away, those players are going to want to score on that par 5 because it's a longer hole, but there's a better chance of a scoring opportunity. And then same thing with holes 8, 13, and 15. You'll probably see the broadcast mention a lot about Amen Corner, which is the famous stretch of holes, which is 11, 12, which is a par 3. Most famously, it's a par 3 where it's short, but there's a lot of water at the front of the hole. So like when Tiger Woods won the Masters in 2019, it was more other guys going in the water, Francesco Molinari most notably, going in the water on 12 to kind of cough up the lead to Tiger. And then there's 13 as the last hole of Amen Corner, which is also a par 5.
Ooh.
So
those photos are just, huh?
Yeah, I looked it up. I don't remember off the top of my head why it's called Amen Corner, but if you have the direct TV or the featured groups on the Masters app, you'll get a feed of just Amen Corner holes, which is cool. I also think there's a separate feed of just 15 and 16. 16 is a par 3 that if there's going to be a hole-in-one at the Masters, it will probably be on that hole. And I know there's a lot of props out there for a hole-in-one. Will there be a hole-in-one at the Masters where the yes is a slight favorite over the no? And it's probably going to have to be done on hole 16, which is definitely a fun hole, especially kind of at the closing stretch. One thing about Masters, or Augusta National itself, it's very hilly. It's a hard course to walk. It's also very challenging greens. The green complex are very challenging. That's why a lot of first timers don't do well at the Masters. We haven't seen a first time winner since 1979, which was Fuzzy Zeller. Some debutants could, pop and finish well. We'll talk about Will Zalatoris later. He finished second on his debut 3 years ago. But you really want to know the course well, and that's why we'll see some like an older player, a more experienced player, like Phil Mickelson last year finishing runner-up, Tiger Woods winning 5 years ago. It was mostly the course knowledge that helped them have that success.
We got a comment about the rain coming tomorrow. How is that going to affect these boys out there? Is it going to be a quick? The green's going to be fast. Or the green's going to be slow?
Well, rain would definitely slow down the greens. And that's a very, I was about to talk about the weather, so I'm glad someone commented. Yeah, it looks like rain is coming tomorrow morning, some wind on Thursday. I don't know if anyone remembers last year, but there was a lot of bad weather in the first 3 days of the Masters where the leaders had to play probably over a round and a half, over 27 holes, like Koepka and Rahm and Hovland and Cantlay, who were kind of in the mix on Saturday or when they were playing the third round. And I know they had to really get it in on Sunday in terms of if there was a playoff, there maybe would have been a Monday finish. So the weather is better than last year because the rest of the weekend it's going to be warm and sunny, especially Saturday and Sunday. But there's definitely something to consider where you might want players who are playing on Thursday later to avoid some of the rain and wind. But at the same time, if they're not able to play, maybe the play gets pushed back where then the players who play on Thursday afternoon are going to have to finish their first round on Friday morning and then have to go play their second round right away. So it works both ways. We'll see how serious the weather is. I could see myself waking up 7 a.m. Before 7 a.m. Central and seeing a tweet.
We know you're waking up earlier than that, Nate. It's the Masters. You'll be up at 4:45. Come on.
Not that early. Maybe at the earliest 6 o'clock. But I could see
you and I both get up real early when it comes to usually it's what sport was it? You said I get after it in the morning.
I think a Saturday college basketball slate where it's like if you're texting Colby, it could be 11:30 p.m. It could be 11:30 p.m. or 6:30 a.m. and Colby will respond within a couple minutes in a group chat if you're talking about lines and sports betting, which is always convenient that you have someone alert and someone who's listening to you talk nonsense. Probably.
We're in a Sicko Sharp group chat, and you texted, I think it was probably 6:30, and you probably were like, "Oh, no one's gonna see this," and I just typed back, "Yeah, I'm on that already. I just looked at it." Our good friend Prindy has this disgusting parlay. Please tell him to bet responsibly, Nate. Tell him he's a psycho.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could really parlay that many. The problem is you're basically there's just not enough like spots to, for everyone. Because when you have a top five, you have, 89 players for only 5 spots. You're kind of like limiting yourself.
I feel like the odds aren't good enough.
Yeah, that's another thing.
15,302. I mean,
yeah, I'd probably want a little bit more for all 4 things to happen. Because if you hit like 3 of them, that would be amazing. So I think the payout they're kind of ripping you off, especially because it's 4. You're basically betting 4 players to finish in the top 10, and then boosting 2 more to get a bigger price top 5. And while all those players are good, and I do like Victor Hovland this week, who's doesn't seem to be getting any love right now in the betting market or from anyone I've listened to.
I don't know golf. I know Top Golf.
Yeah.
The chat is bumping. Kels wants you to talk about golf's favorite skier, Brooks Koepka. Yeah,
sure. So Brooks is the man when it comes to majors. I remember betting him
on wakes up for him.
On the PGA Tour. You almost would cross him off at whatever it was, the Valero Texas Open, or basically anything other than the Waste Management in Phoenix, which he won twice. But other than that event, and I think he won like in Memphis once, he would only win majors, and he's won 5 in his career. He's won 3 PGA championships and 2 U.S. Opens, and he won 4 of them within I believe a 2-year span in 2017 and 2018. And then last year, we were kind of worried about him going, basically 13 months ago, where like Brooks had a lot of health issues. That's why he, I guess, went to live, because he was worried about his future and, if he was going to be what he was going to be like. And then he ended up going to the Masters and was contending and did really well in the par 5s, which is something that he'll probably take advantage of this week because he is long off the tee and he's a pretty good putter. He's 20-1 right now to win the Masters. I'll say we saw life from him last year at the Masters, which was great to see because you didn't know what to expect from the live players. And then he goes out the next month, wins the PGA Championship. We just saw that picture of him having a 4-day bender. 4-day bender. Because he's from South Florida, or lives in South Florida. He went to like back-to-back Florida Panther home games in the playoffs, along with Miami Heat. And he was looking like he was having a good time, as you see in the picture we just had up, where he was at the Panthers game in a skybox. And then I remember Colby and I think that's when Colby really got into golf. We bet against Brooks Koepka in a 54-hole matchup
Smith, right?
Cam Smith, who I think played pretty well at the PGA Championship that year. Was kind of like trending in the right direction in terms of live standards. And Brooks amazingly not only finished his 54 holes where he just turned up to the Trump National Course in Virginia and did well, but he almost beat Cam Smith in that head-to-head matchup. I think
it was honestly a sweat, and you were like, "Don't worry." You're like, usually when you're as confident with your best, you usually knock him down. But that one, you were like, "Oh, don't even worry about it. He's not even gonna wake up." And he was awake for that whole weekend.
Yeah, it was truly impressive, and I don't know what that says about him for the Masters, but it does show he's a big game hunter. As there's more good Brooks pictures on the screen. He does have fun, and now he's well compensated. But I know he has not won a Masters, and I'm sure that's kind of one thing that is left on what he wants to do in his career. I see in the comments I have a Brooks top 10 ticket. Yeah, I mean, I think there's much worse bets you can make. Let me say that. I think there's a real good chance that if Brooks is in form and just what he does in the majors, that he'll be in the mix on Sunday. Usually is in the majors, even some of the majors he hasn't won, he's like contended. Remember the PGA Championship when Morikawa won, the PGA Championship when Phil Mickelson won, which I bet on at Koepka at a pretty big number because no one wanted him because he was struggling on the PGA Tour. So, yeah, Koepka in the 20-1 range. I'm not going to talk anyone out of that in terms of winning.
He shows up
betting a major.
We got another one from our boy Vital, one of the best in here. My guy Vital wants to know about Neiman and Hideki.
Yeah, those are two
popular. Neiman? It's Neiman, right?
Joaquin Neiman, Chilean. Unfortunately, a live defect because I really liked watching him on the PGA Tour. He's in the Masters because he got a special invitation from Augusta National because he was doing so well on the DP World Tour. He won the Australian Open in the late part of 2023. And then he also won 2 events on the Live Tour. And that made his number crash in the outright market from like 50, 60 to 1 to right now he's trading at basically like 30 to 1. And I some books earlier this week it was like 25. So he's drifted a little bit. I guess one thing I didn't really consider in my early research that, I would say that bet is fine at top 20 is he is invited to the PGA Championship. They gave him an invite for next month's major at Valhalla in Louisville. But other than that, he's not guaranteed majors because he can't accumulate world ranking points on the Live Tour. So while some, Masters winners or live players who are in the Masters might not have motivation because they have a lifetime exemption because they're a previous winner of the Masters, or they have enough world ranking points like a Cam Smith from winning the Open Championship and other exemptions, Neiman, this could be his last Masters unless there's some real big shift in the game of men's golf. So if he can prove himself this week at Augusta and he'd get world ranking points from winning the Masters and a lifetime exemption. If you win the Masters, you can play any Masters you want as long as you can. So yeah, Neiman has maybe a little bit extra motivation if you're trying to go with the motivational angle. And then Hideki Matsuyama, another guy who I've heard a lot of talk about this week. His number has kind of got crushed in the outright market. I've seen like 25 to 1 early in the weekend. He had a nice run at the Texas Open. He's been playing really well. He won the Genesis Invitational earlier this year, which is a pretty good indicator of Masters success. We've seen a lot of crossover winners at the Genesis Invitational at Riviera with the Masters. Last year's Masters winner John Rahm won the Genesis 2 months before he won the Masters. So that's one example. Bubba Watson has won at both courses. Phil Mickelson. So there's definitely a lot of examples of players. And as you see here, most importantly, Hideki has won a Masters. He won 3 years ago, which was a great moment for him and in the country of Japan, where Japan has a huge following for golf, and he has his own like basically beat reporters from Japan who follows him all over the country in the PGA Tour. So yeah, I wouldn't talk you out of either of those plays. They're very trendy bets. At those odds are probably more, safer bets in terms of maybe plus 200. So I think those are, I won't talk you out of that bet. I think both players definitely have potential to contend and maybe even win.
Obviously in the comments, there's Tiger talk.
Yeah.
And he's stopped fornicating, Nate. Is that coming into your cap on Tiger, the GOAT, him, that mama? There goes that man. Is it worth taking him to win it all? Is it worth taking him? Is it worth actually taking him to make the cut?
I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I think he's actually an underdog right now to make the cut. I would actually say no, just because if there is bad weather involved, Tiger, between the bad back, which takes a while to warm up, his leg that he suffered in that really scary leg injury in that car crash, and just having to walk Augusta is very challenging for a player like him who has issues just physically and fitness wise, and obviously a great golfer, but that was in the past. And I don't want to bet it no to miss the cut, no to make the cut, that is. But one thing I did play, and it's available at a book. I don't know if we can say the sports books, but it's a domestic book that most people would have, and if they lived in a legal state.
Does it have a color? Does it have a color?
It's blue.
Oh, the blue book. Very nice. Very nice. We like to say the colors around here.
Okay, good to know. I'll say colors the rest of the way, but the blue book released. I was looking at all the matchups last night, and the blue book did not have matchup bets. I checked this morning, and they had matchup bets. And something that caught my eye was Gary Woodland minus 125 in a full tournament matchup over Tiger Woods. Woodland was a kind of a player that I was kind of had a liking to. He 2 weeks ago played at the Houston Open, and he led the field in approach. And I know his putter isn't great, and he had a health concern of his own where he actually had brain surgery in the off season. But he's back, and I know the results haven't been great, but some of the underlying metrics show that he is striking the ball well with his irons, and he finished 14th at the Masters last year. And I'm pretty confident that I don't think he's going to win by any means, and I wouldn't be betting him like even top 10 or anything. But I think he's kind of be like, 26 or 32nd, something like that. And since I have my doubts about Tiger Woods making the cut, I think this is a really good bet, Gary Woodland, minus 125, which we checked before the show, and that number is still available, which kind of surprised me because there's another book, a black and green book, that has Gary Woodland minus 155. It got bet out from minus 140. So definitely some money on Gary Woodland. I think the sophisticated smart bettors are fading Tiger Woods this week, and don't be tricked by those 150 to 1 outright number on Tiger Woods, who withdrew from the Masters last year because of his body wasn't feeling right, and he withdrew from the Genesis Invitational in 2 months ago because he got sick. And if the weather gets bad and he's not feeling it Friday morning because he has a Thursday PM tee time and then a Friday morning, I think that quick turnaround on Friday, he can really struggle. So maybe Tiger, he could do well early on. Yeah, but I'm going to be looking for something tomorrow night where I want to be fading Tiger in any kind of second round bets where it's over under his score or maybe whoever in his group. I think Max Homa is one of those players, maybe betting on Homa and whoever else in a 3-ball against Tiger.
Someone's got a question about betting him to drop out mid-tournament. Is there any way to take advantage of that? Because I feel like it's been 30 years with Tiger. Of course, he's not what he used to be and all the injuries and stuff. But it's such a tease when a major comes around and everyone just gets that buzz because Tiger's going to be there. And Tiger just usually ends up pulling out.
Yeah, there's been some disappointments lately. In terms of that question, I do think the Gary Woodland matchup bet makes a lot of sense, especially if you don't want to bet against Gary Woodland. You think he's good enough to make the cut, which I do. And that may have been a low blow. Hey, Charles, I like Tiger. I just,
I love Tiger.
I care more about making money, and I think that a way to do it, because there's definitely a chance where he makes the cut and then he like withdraws early, but he already made the cut, so you lose the bet. So I think playing the Gary Woodland matchup, that's the only matchup I could find. There was another book that is in Illinois, but also originates from Nevada, where the matchup was Zach Johnson against Tiger Woods, and it was like minus 156.
Look who's here, Nate. Look who's here.
Well, he must not be listening to us.
Hey, look, John Rahm's here. If you don't look at the letters, it says Rahm. Just kidding.
There we go. I don't know. Is there anything in the chat? There's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I wanted to get into my bets. So the Masters, most PGA Tour events are like 144 players. Some I think 156. I know some of the elevated events are shorter as they try to compete with LIV. But for the Masters, it's 89 players. 13 players are on the LIV Tour. And that's a big deal because, we don't see the best players in the world anymore at the same golf course unless it's the majors. There's also some players that have like no shot at winning. And it's because they're former champs, and former champs are eligible or exempt to play in the majors. So guys like Vijay Singh, Mike Ware, Fred Couples, Bubba Watson, because he won the Masters, he's in the Masters. But in terms of like his success recently, before he went to LIV, I don't know if he'd be good enough. So Jose Maria Olazabal. So yeah, there's definitely some players, and there's also some amateur players, like 5 amateurs that you can basically just cross off the list, and they're going to even have trouble making the cut. So because of that, Tiger could make the cut, because for the Masters cut line, it's top 50 in ties after the second round. So, getting into the top 50 when you have 10 to 15 players that have no shot of winning and probably are going to miss the cut, gives some opportunity for some players to maybe surprisingly make the cut, but then end up having no shot at winning on the weekend.
Something with golf that you've taught me is taking the favorite isn't usually the smartest thing to win it all. And I know you wrote that in your notes. If you want to, is it worth taking any of the top 3 and the heavily favored guys in the Masters?
Yeah. So the main favorite this year is Scottie Scheffler, and I know he was earlier in the week 4-1. I think part of the reason why he's this big of a favorite, it's twofold. One is he's very good, just clearly the best tee to green player in the world. He won this tournament 2 years ago in 2022. This past year, he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He won the Players' Championship. And then in his last start, he was a putt away from the playoff that Steven Yeager won in Houston. So the form, and then just all the big players on the PGA Tour who are still there haven't had good seasons. So combine those things, and Scheffler is the clear favorite. I do think that could lead to value on other players, because I'm just looking at the yellow book or the gold book. They have a plus 500.
The entertainment book?
Yeah, they have a plus 500 on Scotty, which is the best price I've seen all week. So I don't know. Maybe they're begging on people to bet Scottie Scheffler. I just personally have an issue betting a player in a tournament like the Masters, where it's a really strong field, to win at 5-1 before a shot is, before it even starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be different if he was 5-1, but it was the final round and there was 7 players in the mix. Maybe he was a couple shots back. But yeah, I don't like, betting that low of a price, because if you bet Scottie Scheffler, you can't really bet anyone else to win. That's my thought.
You're putting more on it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're because the way I bet golf, it's I don't bet I bet I scale my stake on who I bet, and it's like always the same win amount. And I try to make it where it's like a 7-1 or 8-1 payoff, depending on the tournament. This year, I'm a little bit lighter, where I kind of want some room to maybe make a live bet or two, if after some of the weather passes.
Yeah.
But like if I was to bet, if I really like Scheffler, and last year I bet Rahm, and he was 10-1. I basically just bet Rahm and like Max Homa, and that was it. Because I was like, if I add too many guys, then it's going to be a really expensive Masters if one of them doesn't win.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like, but that's because I was like Rahm. I was dead set on Rahm for weeks because of the form he was in and the tournaments he won before the Masters, and just felt like it was his time. Scotty, he's too short for me. And the other two guys, Rory and Rahm, you could definitely poke holes in them. They definitely could win. I wouldn't be shocked. Rory has all the pressure on him at Augusta because he is missing the Masters for getting the career Grand Slam. He had a really good shot of winning the Masters way back in 2011 and choked. There's been some other times where he's, has some good finishes, but never really threatened to win. He did finish third last week at Valero, which I think really kind of pushes I thought there'd maybe be a little bit more interest in Rory betting wise, because it's like, oh, he's on a roll now. He figured it out. But I think people know better to not
stay away from Rory.
Not bet Rory at short prices at the Masters. And then Rahm, just a lot of questions about him. He's the defending champ, but he went to live. So there's a lot of unclarity about his form and all the question he's taking this week from the media about live, because he kind of left in December. So he kind of avoided some of the backlash, I think, because of it. So
now you have 3 tickets for three guys to win it all. Who we diving into first?
All right, first off is Will Zalatoris. And this was kind of the early week when I was doing my research going into this past weekend, kind of a guy who really stood out to me. I like the price, and part of the reason I like the price is because Scheffler's taking up so much win probability at the top that you're getting some other guys down the board who maybe aren't getting a lot of action. So I bet Zalatoris at 33-1 at another blue book, because they offer 7 places. Like if he finishes in the top 7, you get it at 1/5 those prices. And because I am scared, I'll say it, I'm scared about Scotty Scheffler just kind of winning this by 3 or 4 shots. So I do want to have some exposure to the top 7 in this case on Zalatoris. But Zalatoris just plays well in majors. Finished second on his debut in 2021. He was T6 at the Masters in his last time out, which was 2 years ago. Then he had back surgery, which he announced basically like the morning of the Masters that he was going to play in. And he missed all 4 majors last year. He missed the Ryder Cup. So we were a little bit worried about his future, especially a golfer and a back injury. But this year he's been good. Genesis, he finished second. I bet on him last month at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He was actually up in the 3rd round, looking good, and then kind of had a disastrous 6-hole stretch to end the 3rd round at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, ended up finishing 4th. And the knock on Zalatoris is his putting. We've maybe seen he looks like sometimes he has the yips with the putter. Like when he does his backstroke, it's like a little shaky, and it's like, oh, this is scary. But he has figured it out on the greens in the majors. He's putted well. And maybe the reason he putts well in the majors is everyone struggles to putt in the majors, as we see the broomstick putting stroke.
Isn't that the belly putter?
Yeah. He's adapted that, and he's had some okay putting performances. He was really bad his last start at the Houston Open, but I don't put too much weight into that, because he's putted well at Augusta and majors in general, where he came really close to winning the PGA Championship 2 years ago. He almost won the U.S. Open. I bet on him in both times. The PGA Championship, he lost in the playoff to Justin Thomas, and the U.S. Open, he was a birdie putt away on 18 from forcing a playoff against Matt Fitzpatrick. So, yeah, I think this is Zalatoris' time. He's won some pretty big events. He won a FedEx Cup playoff event 2 years ago, And just in majors, he contends. He has the 3 runner-up finishes, and he has 3 additional top 8 finishes between the Masters, U.S. Open, and PGA Championship. So Zalatoris was the first bet I made on Monday morning.
I would, for transparency purposes, I sprinkled on this because I read what Nate said, and my toes curled. So, Nate, you got 2 other guys.
Yeah, so Will Zalatoris played his college ball, his college golf at Wake Forest, and his college teammate was Cameron Young, who 50-1. I think if you shop around, there's some 55s, but I did want the 7 places. So if he does finish in the top 7, that's a 10-1 payout. Cameron Young, kind of similar to Zalatoris in terms of what he's done in his career, where like he really busted on the scene, was really good early on, but just wasn't winning. So he was contending, but not winning. And Zalatoris, when he won, it was like a big monkey off the back. Cam Young doesn't have that win yet. And it's, maybe a little concerning that I'm betting on a guy who hasn't won on the PGA Tour to win the Masters. But I think because he hasn't closed an event, which is kind of the knock on him, there's some value created in Cameron Young, where if he was a multiple, time tour winner, he would be like in the, price where Zalatoris is, like 33-1, 35, 40 or whatever, like that, whatever. Cam Young, I didn't know who he was until 2 years ago. He finished second at the Genesis Invitational, which I mentioned earlier is a corollary course to Augusta National that Riviera is, where we've seen a lot of crossover winners, including John Rahm and Hideki Matsuyama. So Young finished second at the Genesis, which is a pretty, long course out in LA. And last year he finished 7th at the Masters in his second attempt. He missed his cut. Yeah. Someone just in the comment, I saw Neiman. Neiman was actually the player who outlasted Cam Young in that year in 2022, which I remember well because I bet on Neiman, and that was a really big win for me personally. And I was really worried about Cam Young, who was like chipping in from the fairway. But yeah, back to Cam Young. He has Cam Young, really good major history. He finished 3rd at the PGA Championship that Zalatoris lost in the playoff. He finished 2nd at the Open Championship later that year. Still looking for the first win. He finished 2nd at the Valspar last month in Florida. You should probably like him, Colby, because he has that PGA, or sorry, not PGA,
the MLB logo.
Patch.
I forgot he's the guy with the MLB logo patch.
Yeah, so this would be big for baseball if Cam Young had a big weekend in Augusta.
I didn't know he was on Batters-Box. I should have looked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but so I do like Cam Young, bit of like a, high upside play, but I do think that Young, the Demon Deacon from who's Zalatoris' teammate. I like the number and just some of his like past history and the fact that he hasn't won kind of creates a big number on him.
And last but not least,
all right, there's a player that
golfer
really no one wants, Victor Hovland. I did bet 33-1. I even saw today there's 40-1. This could be the ultimate buy low spot for Vic, because going into this year, he was 12-1 to win the Masters and some of the futures odds, which I know never really fair because they have such a high hold. But Hovland was coming off a huge end of the 2023 year where he won the BMW just down the road from us at Olympia Fields, where he was unconscious on the back nine Sunday. He ended up winning the FedEx Cup a week later. He had a great Ryder Cup for Europe as they absolutely dominated the U.S. and Rome. So he was coming in. It's like, this is a big year. This is, going to be Vic's year to win a major. He's come close in majors. Last year, he finished 7th at the Masters, but he was really in the mix on Sunday after the third round. But then he shot a final round 74 because he was in a pairing with Patrick Cantlay, who I think he's a really annoying player to play with because of how slow he plays. And you could tell that Hovland was not having it that day, being paired with Cantlay. But this year has been a real struggle for Hovland. I know he switched or made a change in terms of swing coach, and he just hasn't been the same player that we've seen. and he's really struggled this year. The chipping has been horrible, which it's kind of has been what's holding him back in his career from winning something big. But he has chipped decently in majors, and this might be kind of like with Zalatoris and putting, where like everyone struggles to chip at these, major championship level courses, whether it's Augusta National or some of the others. And I think Hovland's just based on the pedigree and the number, it's something I really, want to try to see if I can, as they say in the stock market, catch the falling knife. So Vic Hovland, I bet 33-1 with the 7 places, just with a little bit of safety if he does contend but doesn't win. So Vic is a bet for me in a potentially ultimate buy low where the form isn't good, but just the price is too good to pass up for me personally.
Well, Nate, is that all you got for us? What is your favorite play that you're like, I'm putting all of my chest hairs into? My plums have been talking about this since Monday. What one is your favorite?
Like of those 3 or something different?
Just any of them, whatever you got. I know you have a fat card.
Yeah, which I'll tweet out after the show at Nate Jacobson 1. I have the tweet ready to go. I just wanted to wait to send it to after the show. There are 3 props I like in the markets, in the nationality markets. I mentioned Hovland, top Scandinavian. You can find it plus 170, plus 160 is fine. He's in a group. That's a group of 4 players. Hovland is Norwegian, even though he sounds like he's from Oklahoma, because he went to Oklahoma State. But the other players, Victor Aubert, just looks like Victor Aberg. And then 2 Danish players, Thornborn Olsen and Nikolai Højgaard. I do like Hovland now in this market because he is the second favorite. Aubert has been awesome, but it's also his first time at Augusta, so I don't know how he's going to do in his debut. And some of the greens could give him trouble and the short game. One other long shot who I bet at 66-1, Siwoo Kim. I bet him because he has high upside, but the preferred way to bet him, I guess, if you want to be safe, is top Korean, because he's in a group with Byung-hun An, Sung Jae-im, and Tom Kim, who are all not playing well right now. So Siwoo Kim is the favorite to win that, but I do think it's justified. And then I guess the bet that I've been, looking at for weeks and I probably like the most now is top left-handed player. And you can find that on the Black and Green book. It's a 5-player market. I'm going with Brian Harman plus 165, who he's the favorite. He won the Open Championship last year. He's a Georgia kid. Went to the University of Georgia down the road. The reason why, though, I really like this play is because who I'm betting against. So you're betting against 3 former winners, older players, and Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, and Mike Ware. Ware is a total cross-off. Bubba Watson hasn't been good in years and now plays on Live, so I don't think he's good at all because he has the money. And Phil Mickelson, he did finish second last year or tied for second last year, but he has shot a final round 65, I believe it was, and really had no shot at contending. He just went out there on Sunday when the weather was cooperating and the greens were soft and kind of had a fluky. He never had a shot of winning, so I don't put too much stock into Phil doing that. But the fourth guy was the guy who won last week, Akshay Bhatia. And I could see a little bit of a hangover from Bhatia, who won the Texas Open to get into this event. And then on the 18th hole, he made a putt to force a playoff. He did a big shoulder pump, and apparently he strained his shoulder doing it, where he's on the final in the fairway on the final playoff hole after Denny McCarthy goes into the water because he mishits a chip, and Bhatia takes 5 minutes to get his shoulder wrapped. So I'm not sure how healthy Bhatia is going to be. I would have wanted to fade him anyway, just because it's his first time at Augusta. And I know Harman isn't great at the Masters, but he's from Georgia, plays his best golf in the Southeast. And I think he's just, should be a bigger favorite against those 4 other players. So Brian Harman, top lefty.
Well, Nate, I hope everyone got something out of this. I did. I'm going to be doing my research right after this because I love doing my golf research. But Nate, thank you so much for stopping by. Where can the people find you? Where or what's going on? Where can the people get more Nate Jacobson content?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Nate Jacobson1. I also have some work on TikTok, Nate's betting page.
Those Sunday your Sunday NFL ones are my favorite ones to get because I'm like, all right, football's over with. Time to scroll through TikTok until I fall asleep, and you're always like the second one. I'm like, oh, Nate is an animal.
And I'm always very tired doing it after watching 20 hours of football for that weekend between college and NFL. And then also just any work I do at Stadium. Colby and I do Stadium bets, sports betting show we do on Stadium that would frequently air on the weekends during Football Stadium. And we'll have more spots where we do it throughout the summer and maybe some early football previews. Make sure to check that out. Download the draft. Download the Stadium app though, because we have a pretty new app that we're trying to get a lot of users on. So make sure to check the Stadium app out along with following me on Twitter, and that kind of can lead to some of my other content where I did write 2 articles for our good friend Brad Evans, his website at the Gaming Juice this week. So I appreciate Brad for letting me write and share some of my thoughts in written form for the Masters.
Well, Nate, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to dive into the baseball bets. I'll see you tomorrow. If you're not at work tomorrow, I'll be sad because
I'll be there.
Gonna be good because no one else is going to be there, and I hate that. I hate being alone. But thank you, sir. Have a great Wednesday. Go to D'Amato's and get me a pepper and an egg sandwich for me.
Maybe I'll go Saturday morning before the 3rd round of play.
All right. Well, I might have to join you. All right. I'll talk to you. Have a good one.
Good luck. Thank you.
All right, guys. We're back. We're going to dive into the old baseball. But before we do, just want to make an announcement to anybody that tailed that parlay I gave out, and it said runs. I did it again. I didn't see what I clicked on the old Action app, and I put out a Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor runs parlay. And if you know me, I'm probably never going to do that. I gave it out yesterday on the pickoff that it was a total bases parlay. Again, I clicked the wrong numbers. I'm sorry. I'm human. I'm not perfect. I was never perfect. But if you did tail it, this is me apologizing to you. I will make it up to you eventually because things have been kind of tough. So let's dive. Yeah. More like sad. Can we get like a sad mustache? That'd be better. Because I'm like, I feel so bad when I don't check. I'm basically not checking my work, even though I'm assuming that it's all right, which is just annoying. But today this person's already in a parlay, so I'm not gonna say the parlay because it already happened. I like Tyler O'Neill a lot. What is going on down there? Our director. What is our producer? What are we doing? I like Tyler O'Neill a lot today. If you like anything else that I'm about to give out, I only have one play that's at night because I liked everything during the day. And guess what? We haven't won anything. Please, I need April 15th. I need a month and some change into the season. Oh, my God. The data, man. The data is so hard to go base stuff off. But Tyler O'Neill, usual, high on the hyphen, batters-box.com. Has an elite rating. Tyler O'Neill, I predicted at the beginning of the season that he was going to have a year because every dude that just leaves St. Louis ends up having a great career. Acuna, Ozuna, these guys just play so much better once they leave St. Louis. I like Tyler O'Neill a lot. Hits the pitches. I can't think of who's pitching, but hits his pitches, obviously because I like him. That's usually what I look at. Let's go. Bang! A D-backs. Bang! We don't need the bang sound because I do it well enough. But the parlay of the day, the little silly goose, barely silly goose parlay is Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, 2 guys that are in the top 10 on batters-box.com. Don't forget the hyphen. Yordan is white hot, absolutely hotter than the sun. Judge is starting to heat up. We need that because he's my favorite player. Also, the value in Aaron Judge is starting to go back to normal. Like the past week and a half, I've seen his hit prop at minus 175. That is insane for one of the best hitters in the game. I think 101 is a great price for two studs that hit the ball to the stratospheres. I like this play a whole lot. That is the Silly Goose parlay of the day. And with no Shaggy and me talking to myself, we're going to do what we did yesterday, ladies and germs, and go back to Immaculate Grid because it's my favorite thing to play now. Let me get that back up for us, folks. Hopefully, Prindy's in here to give me terrible recommendations. Let me get this up. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bang. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boom. Here we go. All right, there we go. Bang. Bang. Hold that sucker up. There we go. Woo! Woo! Okay. All right. We got the White Sox. Easy, Arlos. Pena. Bang. What? Wait, what? No. He played for the White Sox. Who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of? No. Who was I thinking of? Oh, he played for the Cubs. You know what? You know what we're going to do? We're going to redo that. Hopefully, it's still... What? 3 guesses? Oh, there we go. Oh, I'd have to clear my history out, whatever. Houston, not Jose Abreu. That's too easy. That's way too easy. He was just recently traded. We're going to go Carlos Lee. You got to think old. You got to think your childhood. Carlos Lee. Bang. This one's going to be tough. I can't think of anyone who played for the Mets and the Rays. Carlos Beltran. We're going to go. It's going to be the all Carlos grid. Yes. 40 plus WAR. Well, let's go Biggio. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Yes. Oh my God. What's his name? With the mustache? I played for the, oh my God. He rode that horse. People help me out. He rode the horse on the Yankees. Wade Boggs. Yes. Oh, 27%. Pitched 1 game. Ichiro. Oh my God. Filth. Pure filth. Pitched 1 game. Come on. We got to go big sexy Bartolo Colon. Bartolo Colon. Look at that. Yeah. Nick Swisher. Come on, baby. No! No, he pitched for the Yankees. I guess that doesn't count. Or obviously doesn't count because he was asked to be on the White Sox. I thought he would have with the White Sox. Mercedes. What's his name? Yerman. Oh, that sucks, guys. That sucks. 1%. I think that's the lowest I've ever got before. But ladies and gentlemen, Tim Anderson never – I don't know if Tim Anderson's never pitched. But as you can tell, I got sweaty there. Let me see if the football one's any worth it at all. No, that would be impossible. So, ladies and germs, I'm going to say goodbye. I will miss you. Hopefully, I'm here tomorrow. But maybe I'll have something to do. We will see. I will let our fearless leader, SBJ, know. That little handsome devil's around here somewhere. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been brought on. Without Bet Online and betting news, none of this is happening. I'm not here. You're not watching. So shout them out. Bet Online. Go hit that. You see it. You see the little barcode. Get on there. Get your sign-up bonus. And let's ride. And let's all sweep tonight, baby. Every bet we're putting in tonight, it's going to be a sweep.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? Down in the deep.
Now I know y'all be loving this shit right here.
Rolling.
What you gonna do?
Rolling.
What you gonna
rolling.
What you gonna do? Right, y'all be loving this shit.
What you know about